Hello, how's everyone? Welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Stephanie Rivers. Come on in and welcome to the conversation. Got a little chill music going. My shoulder looks real huge in that position. So I'm going to move it because it's really not that huge. I'm coming to you from Richmond, Virginia today, and there is a picture of um, Arthur Ashe on the wall behind me. I'm in town on business, and I always like coming to Richmond. Um, so, welcome to the conversation, kings and queens, and welcome to my new subscribers. They're growing, and I want to thank you for subscribing. You're watching me on probably your platform of choice. I'm broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter. So on whatever platform you're listening and looking, I want to welcome you to the conversation. Some people tell me that I'm a comedian, believe it or not, because I know you look at my vlogs and you're like, she is so serious all the time. And most of the time I am serious because there's just so much there's so much that needs to be done in my personal life and is in our community and in society. And so I have little to no time to be just running around laughing and talking. But every now and then you'll catch me laughing and making other people laugh because they're like, you need to be a stand-up comedian. And I don't do it on purpose, but sometimes it just comes out because I am a jovial person. But to look at me, you would think I'm not. But at any rate, come on into the conversation. And if you are returning, we want to welcome you back. And if you are new, we want to welcome you. And I'm sure you're going to hear something that you like. And so I'm going to ask you to share it and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. Now, if you are into comedy, you probably know the name Michael Keegan Key and Jordan Peele. You know who they are. They are the comedy duo, and their stage name is Key and Peele. So one of my favorite skits of Key and Peele is the one where one of them pretends to be President Barack Obama, and the other one, one of them pretends to be President Barack Obama as he's answering questions in a diplomatic way, non-offensive way, while the other one is in the background telling you, translating for us what Obama really wants to say, straight, no chaser, no BS, with no BS euphemisms. And so that is one of my favorite skits because I'm that type of person. I just pretty much say whatever it is to say in the shortest way possible. And some people can't take that, some people do. And so I can appreciate that skit. Now, I can appreciate it because I think we spend too much time skinning and grinning, trying to make people feel comfortable when we need to just be more direct and let people know how we really feel and quit worrying about whether people like us and whether they feel comfortable. But I'd rather have your respect than to have you to like me. That's just me. So at any rate, when I learned about the people of Jamaica and what they had to say about the royal family tour through the Caribbean that Prince William and Prince Kate are on right now, is something that I thought I wanted to talk to you about. So if you haven't heard, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, that would be Prince William and his wife, Princess Kate, yes. They're touring the island nations in the Caribbean, and that's something that they do periodically. And this year, it's some type of commemorative tour because of the Queen Elizabeth's it's her 70th year in reign or something like that. So there's just like this big um, celebration that they're doing. So they're going through the Caribbean and touring it. Um, because and they do that with these in the Caribbean because the Caribbean used to be British colonies. So a little bit of history for you in case I won't take you too far into history, but essentially the colonies were settlements around the world where Europeans wanted to either discover unclaimed land or they wanted to take the land from the people who already had claimed it. So the United States, as I'm sure you know, started as a British colony, and Britain sent homeless people and they sent convicts who had just been released from prison to develop America into other places, such as the Caribbean, to get them off the streets of Britain. And in exchange, these vagabonds, these former convicts, and these homeless people, they would get, in exchange for them coming to these new places and settling them, they would in exchange get to keep some land. And so a lot of them, that was the agreement. And so some of them, when they found the land, if it was already claimed by somebody, they would just steal it, kill them and steal it. Or they would find unclaimed land and become squatters, basically. And they were supposed to develop the land. But some of the settlers had no skills to develop the land, or they were too lazy to do the work. Now, this is all true. This is not just coming from me. This is coming from a book called The 400 it's called White Trash, the 400-year untold history of class in America. So if you haven't read that, be sure to get that. You can get it at any virtual online store, anywhere. So I found out about this book because I was sitting in the airport one day and there was a guy across from me and he was reading it, and I thought, that's an engaging title. So it took me a few weeks, actually, because when you jot stuff down, life goes on, and then I came back around to it, and I was like, I'm going to get that book. And so I learned a lot about the history of America. So get that book, White Trash. So anyway, these settlers, first, the people who were supposed to be settling the land, they went back to Britain and said, hey, Britain, we need help doing all this, settling the land, developing the land. So they first were trading goods to tribes in Africa and other places in the world in exchange for slaves. So in the beginning, started out as a fair exchange. We're going to give you some goods, and then in exchange for people that you give us, then we're going to take them back and put them to work. But then eventually, the settlers, the vagabonds, the people who were supposed to be settling America and the Caribbean and all these other places, they started to kidnap people and bring them to different places, the Caribbean and in America, now known as the United States, and put them into slavery. So now it's known as what we call the transatlantic slave trade. 400, 500 years ago that it ended. So in addition to the United States, of course, there was Barbados, Virgin Islands, and Jamaica. They were all founded as British colonies, and some of them are still under British rule. So now let's fast forward. So that was the history, but let's fast forward to the tour that Prince William is on and Princess Kate, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. They're touring the Caribbean representing the royal family. And so they had planned to skin and grin their way through this tour, okay? Because that's just what they do. And periodically they go and they make these tours and, shake hands and all of that, take pictures and kiss babies and stuff. But until some people it in Jamaica was like, we no longer skinning and grinning. We got some stuff we need to talk to you about. That's no longer an option. So 100 of the country's leaders and some business owners have said that they want an apology for the past colonization and slave reparations. And that is what is needed from Great Britain before they start partaking in pleasantries with the royals. So they have basically snatched the welcome mat from under their feet. And that's what's going on in Jamaica. Now, Princess Harry and his wife, Princess Meghan, and they're known as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they went to Cape Town, South Africa on their tour, and they're not getting as much backlash, but I think they should from the people who are supposed to be greeting them in South Africa. I think they all should be telling them, don't come around here unless you got a check, a reparations check, okay, and an apology for what y'all did. Now, of course, we know, and some of you are saying, well, the this latest generation has nothing to do with what happened. But here's the thing, this latest generation and their kids and their grandkids after that, they're going to benefit from the deeds of their foreparents. So if they're going to benefit from it with the millions of acres of land and all the goods and the riches, and that's why when I remember, I'm old enough to remember when Prince William was born, when Prince Harry was born, okay? And now they have their own families, and now they get to be bestowed upon them that they are a duke of a certain territory and a duchess of a certain territory. Why? Because their family was complicit, their family funded, their family knew about how the transatlantic slave trade was used to develop these and settle the countries, the colonies that they created. And so that's why if you are going to benefit from your family doing whatever deeds they did, because that's how generational wealth is created, then you should also be held responsible and liable for the misdeeds of your family and how they treated other people. They have all this land at the um, because of the labor that other people's families and generations put into it. So are you able to just go pick out land and say, oh, this is my land and I'm going to call myself the Duke or the Duchess of whatever this, you can't do that but you should be able to do that because your family probably helped to develop and settle that land. But because you are not in their direct lineage and because they're not acknowledging their fundamental participation in what was going on and how it was done, that's what the people of Jamaica are upset about. And I don't blame them. So when Prince Harry and Princess Meghan decided to leave the big house in London and go their own way, they really didn't go their own way. They're always going to have an allotment of money bestowed upon them for their expenses because that's how it works. I feel like I got something on my mouth. I'm not gonna sorry, like skin. Sorry. So essentially, that's what we're talking about today. Jamaica shades the royal family and told them, don't come around here unless you got reparations and an apology. And they said it in a letter. So let's go to the letter. But one of the passages of the letter says, we see no reason to celebrate 70 years of ascension of your grandmother to the British throne because her leadership and that of her predecessors have perpetuated the greatest human rights tragedy in the history of humankind. Okay, so yeah, um, that is what's on the minds of people. So it when I see things like this, and when I see that people are feeling the same way that Americans, African Americans, descendants of slaves of America are feeling, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're on the right track because somebody needs to be held accountable and somebody needs to start um, paying reparations, not just to American descendants of American slaves, but descendants of other slaves in other territories. And that's what's going on. So I want to go and show you this letter right fast. And you can find it yourself, of course, but I want you to be able to, I want to show you the link. I'm trying to find the link. I see the link. I just want you to be able to see it. Let me see if it's going to do it. Maybe I need to do it from here. Okay, here we go. So this is the letter. There was a letter that was written. So I'm going to go up to the top, and it says 100 Jamaican individuals and organizations signed open letter to William and Kate ahead of their visit. So they were coming this week, last week, to, they've already been to Belize, been to some other countries, and now they are, were on their way to Jamaica when Jamaica put the brakes on it and said, we note with great concern your visit to our country during a period where we're still in the throes of a global pandemic, embracing for the full impact of another global crisis associated with the Russian and Ukraine war. And so it just goes on. So that's the link. You can look it up, but essentially they're putting them on notice that says, you know what, we're not in a position, or we are not inclined to play hospitality, to be hospitable to y'all right now. Y'all needs to do something different, and you need to go back and tell your people to do something different, because it's a new day and we're not in a position when we don't feel like, how sometimes, you know, you just don't feel like it. You have time today to speak your mind. And I think the people of Jamaica are they are feeling this way right now. And I've been to Jamaica a couple of times, and you know what? When I go, I never see the beach because I go for business, and I have met a lot of good people there, and so I think of Jamaica not as a place where I would just go to vacation, but I think of Jamaica as a place where people live and they have families and they have businesses, and they're trying to make a difference in their lives as well as I'm trying to make in mine. And so were it not for my forefathers being put on this ship that went to the United States, I could be Jamaican. And some people even ask me when they see me, they're like, are you Jamaican? Are you Dominican? Or and then talking, and of course, I'm from the country of the United States, from the South. And so I love my roots and my family roots. But you know, but for a few turns of the wheel, I could have been Jamaican. I could have been from the Bahamas. You could have been from somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? You could have been from Portugal. It just because we all, our families have suffered the same um, a tra- tragedy, atrocities that we've had to endure. And so I just wanted to add that. So when I see people stand up for what they believe in, whether it's somebody that's down the street or somebody across the water, and we have the same history, I understand and I have empathy for what they are going through and what they are demanding. The same thing that we're going through in the United States with our demands for reparations is the same thing that Jamaicans are going through, the same things that they're going through in the Bahamas, same things they're going through in the Virgin Islands. It's the same. So we all are family. We just divided by some water. So sometimes we must have those uncomfortable conversations, and it's up to us, the people who are getting the short end of the bad deal, because the people who are getting all that they want out of it, whatever that might be, why would we expect for them to acknowledge it if we don't acknowledge it? We have to acknowledge it and bring it up every chance we get, even when it is inconvenient for us or for the person that we're talking to. And not just about reparations, but in any relationship. If you're dealing with something and it's not working out for you, don't feel like you have to stay there, or you can't bring it up, or you don't feel like, oh, I want to wait till the time is appropriate. There ain't gonna be no appropriate time, because um, be nobody's going to make it convenient for you to come up if it means that they have to depart with some money or some time or some property or some land. It's not going to be a convenient time. You're just going to have to say what needs to be said. And so I saw this quote, of course, and it said from Frederick Douglass, and he said it in 1857. That was 165 years ago. It said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. And Frederick Douglass said that 165 years ago. And it is just as true today as it was when he first said it. And so that is my message to you, that be ready to have an inconvenient conversation, whether you got to practice it in the mirror or whether you just, are fed up and you just say, and it comes out like it comes out. Just know that you have to start speaking up for yourself and your family and your children and your people, whoever it is. Grow a backbone, folks, and just say what needs to be said. So that's why I commend the people of Jamaica for not just rolling out that red carpet, but they snatched up that welcome mat from the royal family and said, we don't have time for that today. And so that's it. Ain't got no more. Just wanted to share that. But to find out more about the things that I do care about, you can go to the written version of my journal. That's at eurweb.com. Thanks so much, and you have a super day.